The announcement of the Samsung Gear S2 and new Moto 362 at IFA 2015 was the starting pistol on the second generation of smartwatches. But which is the best? Which device packs pound for pound more specs? And most importantly, which new smartwatch should you splash your cash on? Samsung Gear S2 vs Moto 362, Specs. The Moto 362's 42mm and 46mm models equate to a 1.37 or 1.56-inch LCD display. For the 46mm the resolution is 360 x 360, 233 ppi, and logically the pixel density better on the 1.37-inch model, which has a resolution of 360 x 325, 263 ppi. The second generation Moto 360 is powered by a quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 processor, backed up by an Adreno 305 GPU and 512 MB of RAM. There's 4 GB of storage on board. It packs Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but GPS is only part of the sport range. The Samsung Gear S2, on the other hand, smokes the Moto 360 on screen tech with its 1.2-inch Super AMOLED display, with an impressive 302 ppi count from the 360 x 360 resolution. Yes, the screen is slightly smaller but the sharper visuals really stand out. Both Samsung Gear S2 devices are IP68 dust and water resistant and both pack 4 GB of storage and 512 MB of RAM. They are powered by a dual-core 1 GHz Exynos processor. Samsung is promising 2 to 3 days of battery life from the 300 mAh power pack, and you get a nightstand charging dock as standard. The battery in the bigger Moto 360 is 400 mAh and 300 mAh power pack for the smaller models. Essentially it's a full day of use with the ambient sensor turned on. Like the original 360, the new models come with a charging dock station in the box. And finally there's data connectivity. The Samsung Gear S2 will come with a 4G version, which will use a SIM card. This version will also feature GPS, which will be music to the ears of runners everywhere. Samsung Gear S2 vs Moto 362, Design. The new Moto comes in 3 sizes, continuing this year's theme of different sized smartwatches for both sexes. There are 2 versions of the 42mm model, aimed at men and women, and a 46mm version too. It's certainly a visual upgrade on its predecessor, and wearable contributing editor Sophie claimed that it's the first Android Wear watch I put on wrist and not thought it looked a bit silly. The crown has moved to 2 o'clock, the bezels have been refined and the watch has stylish lugs either side of the body to attach the straps. Unfortunately, the flat tire at the bottom of the screen remains. The Samsung Gear S2 takes a different design tact. While it shares a round face, the materials and straps look less dressy and chic than the Moto 360. That doesn't mean it's not a looker, though. While the Moto 360 looks more Omega, the Samsung Gear S2 is more casual, and more like a swatch. In terms of customization, both devices feature changeable straps. The Moto 360 comes in Horween leather in gray, black, or brown, but it uses a standard attachment. There are also metallic band options. The Samsung Gear S2 comes with just 2 options, although we saw a host of different designs at IFA. The problem is that on the standard Gear S2 the fitting is non-standard, which will limit your options, and could lead to higher prices. The Gear S2 Classic uses a standard fitting. Samsung Gear S2 vs Moto 362, Features. Being an Android Wear smartwatch, the Moto 360 is fairly vanilla, with the usual array of notifications, apps, and Google Now, which aims to bring information to you based on your habits. However, Motorola is adding its own features too. Live Dial enables users to individually set dials on the home screen. And activity metrics are measured in the Moto body software and makes use of the built-in heart rate monitor. Again, GPS is key to running, and both smartwatches pack the capability, although it will be restricted to specialist versions. The Moto 360 Sport features GPS, as does the 4G version of the Samsung Gear S2. It should be noted that there are precious few details on the latter, including pricing and where it could go on sale. A key feature of the Samsung Gear S2 is the rotating bezel that's used to control the menus. It's a great control system that's easy to manage, and a nice alternative to mashing the 1-inch screen with your finger, which is also an option. Instead of Android Wear, the Gear S2 uses Tizen. Hands down, it's not as good as Android Wear in terms of design, responsiveness, and features such as Google Now. However, it is specifically designed for the round-faced Gear S2 and has 1,000 bespoke apps, which means overall the experience could end up being more well-rounded than one-size-fits-all Android Wear. The Samsung Health features need testing, but the built-in HR monitor keeps tabs on your ticker, and you can tag heart rate readings, which will make this key biometric much more useful. Samsung vs Moto, price and release date. The second-gen Moto 360 is available to pre-order now in the United States, Latin America, Asia, and Europe. Pricing ranges from $299.99 to $429.99, depending on the model. There's no actual pricing information from Samsung yet, but the Gear S2 is set to launch in October. Samsung Gear S2 vs Moto 362, verdict. The Samsung Gear S2 and Moto 360 represent the brightest stars of the second generation of wearables, and choice will likely be split into two camps: ecosystem and sports. Those who hold no affinity to Google or its services should opt for Samsung, but Google Now remains the biggest jewel in Android Wear's crown. Both camps have extensive apps, and while Samsung's is specifically designed for its watch, Google's has a track record of updates and new features. While both offer dressy and sporty designs, which looks best is still a matter of taste. We feel the classic versions look better on the Moto side, and the sport version falls Samsung's way, but others may disagree. It's a tough call, and until we get them on our wrists and live with either, it's in your hands.